This is a Situation Room on Spice FM on KTN, which is now new look. KTN will be launched tonight, and on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on TikTok, everywhere else where we live stream this show every weekday morning. Ndu,
yes.
We've been talking about Standard Chartered, priority banking, but it's not even about that whole issue of priority. It's about how banking works for you. It's not just taking money there or money coming out or them telling you you need to maintain a certain minimum balance or else. No. Banks have changed.
Absolutely.
And Standard Chartered Bank is right up there.
Exactly, leading the pack. And it's really about how your banking is done for you. It's about the conversations that somebody's going to have with you about things that you may or may not know and you want to get more information about. So you ask questions. How do I? What do I do? Where do I go? What do I use? And all of those questions can be answered for you. Standard Chartered Priority Banking is for you. And you're trying to find, okay, so how do I create, how do I grow, how do I manage my wealth? In however way I'm going to start, whatever amounts. There'll be somebody who's not just on the end of the phone who's just going to answer a question and say no. It's come, let us reason together, let me show you the way. And you can start all this off by sending an email to wealth.kenya@sc.com. Somebody will respond to you and will say, come, let's have a seat and let us have a conversation about what you can do. It really has changed. The landscape is looking different.
Yep.
And it actually is different. And it's not just the bank, it's your friend.
And actually, they do respond.
Isn't it?
I speak because I did exactly what you said. And they responded. And I even went for a meeting.
There you go.
Yes. They will respond and they will follow you up. They will call you. They'll send you a message. And they will ask you where it is convenient for you to meet. Yes.
So you have a relationship manager now?
Yes, I do.
You should introduce that RM to Dr. Barak Muluka.
Yes, she's called Rita.
Or maybe Barak will introduce us to his.
Yes.
Dr. Muluka, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
How are you doing?
Wonderful. As wonderful as can be. Yes, I'm happy to see you guys all looking sharp, dapper.
Karibu sana.
Dapper.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Sisi tunajivunia kuwa wa Kenya.
Yes. Kabisa.
Mimi navumilia kuwa Mkenya.
Don't worry, my friend. You talk to Standard Chartered, and when you get your relationship manager, tell you about the way you can start looking at seeing hope.
Vumilivu ufanya nini?
Hula mbivu.
Basi.
Hali mbichi.
Mbivu na mbichi. Vumilia ule mbivu.
Yes.
Sawa. Let me tell you something, Daktari.
No.
And because I know that you know a man who loves to travel, and you travel quite a bit.
I try.
You try, right?
Yes.
When someone tells you, I try, no kugeria man.
That person travels, my friend.
No kugeria man.
Because I know there are so many landscapes that are like to reach, which I haven't reached
Which
yet.
you haven't reached yet.
Yeah, so I try.
Yeah.
Small,
I keep
small,
trying.
There are 140 destinations that you can go to from JKIA using Emirates. 140 destinations.
That's why I say I try.
Yeah, keep
Because
trying, my
there are
brother.
140. Probably have done 40. I have 100.
You have 100 to go, Sindio?
Yes.
Now, next time you go to JKIA and you've made a reservation and you're actually flying Emirates, fly Emirates business class. Those 140, by the time you're landing there, you'll be like,
No big.
life. You've got Wi-Fi all up there on board, right? When you're flying business. You have cozy blankets, lie flat seats, pajamas are given to you, amenity kits. As in when you're up there, and it's a 9-hour flight. Okay, it's a 14-hour flight. It's all right. Sleep, get up, go to the lounge. Up there on the flight, if you're on the A380, enjoy one or two things, meet new people, interact. You like talking to people so you can come and write about them. Do that.
The pajamas a bit I don't like.
Why?
Everything else I like.
You don't like pajamas?
No.
By the way, they're yours.
No.
They didn't belong to somebody else before.
I don't like pajamas.
Yeah.
I think Barak is trying to tell us something which we shall not talk about right now, but okay.
I know you will fly a business when you're flying Emirates. Fly a business, experience Emirates business with daily flights from Nairobi to over 140 destinations. So let's City first of all take us to Southern Africa, where he has Proverbs from this week.
Yeah, the People's Republic of Mozambique. Yes. The proverb. Before the proverb. Barak.
Yes, sir.
The capital of Mozambique is Maputo.
Lorenzo Mark.
Okay. This guy was listening before you got here. He was prepared. Thank you.
So what is Lorenzo Mark? For those that have just woken up.
That is the former name of the capital of Maputo. It was called.
Maputo was initially called Lorenzo Mark.
Yes, it was. That was the name.
Allah.
Oh, yes.
When did it change?
Chief.
Ask him.
1975.
You see?
That was the question for
the next one.
guest.
Ah.
It's another guest who's coming as ahead. But thank you, Barak.
Welcome.
He's absolutely correct.
The next guest is going to be
The
Ken
question is,
Mijungu.
ask him, when did they get independence?
Yeah, I think we need to ask Ken Mijungu.
And you'll find...
Ken Mijungu is the next guest. He's coming in at 9.
Don't tell us. No, Ken Mijungu is going to take us to Lesotho. So that's okay.
Now let's hear when he comes in.
You know about the coup d'etat in Portugal, 1975. The government collapsed.
It did.
Yes, and the colonies got
Collapsed.
independence.
Colonization collapsed.
collapse at
Okay.
that point.
Yes.
And that's when now the people of Mozambique decided we are going to take back our city.
No, they didn't decide. You know, when Portugal suffered, then things just
Went
happened,
haywire.
Went haywire. Yeah,
So things fell apart.
where Portugal, Principe, Sao Tome, Angola, Guinea-Bissau, and which was the other one? They got independence suddenly, and then they turned the guns
On each other.
On each other.
Mozambique had a 2-year hiatus. 77. Bang!
Started again fighting.
Oh, yes. That civil
And
war
Angola
lasted.
went on and on until the day the invincible Jonas Savimbi slept
Yes.
not too long ago.
He slept.
Yes, he did.
Slept.
He went to be the ancestors.
Was he taken to sleep?
Let's put it this way.
Well,
He still slept.
The constant slept, yes. The manner.
Was he put to sleep? Oh, no, he just slept.
He slept.
Okay. City, so what's the proverb?
If a chicken attacks you in the morning, run first, because it may have grown teeth overnight.
If a chicken attacks you in the morning, run fast. Because it may have grown teeth
In the morning.
overnight.
Yes, when you went to bed, chicken had no teeth. Morning, you never know. It may have grown teeth. So take cover.
Bas.
You know, City, we had chicken attacking us around here for 40 years. And it didn't matter whether it was morning, night, evening, noon, whatever time, a chicken attacked. However, chicken with teeth that bite,
Teeth that bite.
and you've got to be very worried. You have to take cover. Yeah, because that means there's this fellow you have always taken for granted. This person you think is a coward. You know, like the one the country man was singing about. What's his name?
Oh, you're talking
Coward
about
of the county.
county.
Yes, and the day comes when the coward decides that I'm going to strike you. And when you went to bed, it was just a coward, somebody you took for granted. Then this person rises and tells you it's not business as usual.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah. Do you think you've said the chickens have been attacking us for 40 years?
Yes.
Explain.
Those ones had teeth. You know about the cockerel. It was red in color. And it crowed until the day it swallowed a tractor. Then it got into trouble.
Right.
When somebody else was also arguing that maybe what we saw earlier this year was the chicken chasing people in the morning.
Yes, I think we have had chicken chasing people in the morning, and the chicken have gone into hibernation, and they will return because the people have refused to run, and the people are chest thumping. The people are saying, "Look, it is Christmas. We're going to just slay the chicken and eat them." And they'll come back. And when they come back, God have mercy on the people.
Really?
Absolutely.
Is it that bad?
Absolutely, Eric. It's that bad. That's why you seeing the oracles returning. And people are asking, where have these oracles been?
Indeed, I would ask the question myself.
Where have they
been? Yes.
Had they left?
You see, it's not the role of oracles to go around mingling with people on a daily basis. The oracles stay in the hills, in the mountains, in the valleys, in the caves, and they only come out to tell you things when they're starting to get out of order. When they come out to start telling you things getting out of order, you had better listen. Don't go around trying to answer them back and tell them things like I've been seeing on TV these past few days, including yesterday. And you can see that person number one is saying, look, there's no need for us to answer each other with the oracles. Let us just talk to one another. Now, you do not have that luxury of having conversations with oracles. The oracles proclaim. They tell you about the way, the truth, and the life. And you listen. Don't be deceived. I have read where it's written in Isaiah chapter 1 that come, let us reason together. That is in the Old Testament. I've also seen where it is written, trust and obey. For there's no other way.
So in this case, I mean, just very clearly put, Barak, that, okay, so if you make a connection, oracle, of course, in and even in times present, are somehow a spiritual guide. However you want to describe or define your spirituality. But in this case, the most recent murmurings, not even murmurings, I guess out loud proclamations have come from the church. Are you saying essentially that because the church has spoken, and very firmly and loudly so, that what they're saying should be heeded?
There is the inerrancy of the church. And when we talk about the church, let's first of all agree that the church may not be bundled up into one heap. And then we say this is the church. Because even within that fraternity itself, there are fissures and layers and landscapes of mutual doubt and mutual mistrust, suspicion. They have different drivers, but there is the church. And certainly when you hear the traditional Orthodox church speaking, you had better listen. And we have had that experience in this country since the days immediately after independence, when those we trusted with the leadership in the country started taking us astray. And we remember the days when Bishop Okulu used to publish the publication that was called Target, and the Kiswahili counterpart, Lengo. And of course, the political fraternity in the country was unhappy about the things he was saying after he had just returned from Uganda, where he had served as a prelate. Remember that the church was also in the process of liberation and reconstruction, where initially the so-called Diocese of Mombasa in the Anglican Church went all the way to Uganda, and I suspect in parts of the Congo. And the fiery Bishop John Okulu was a marked man, but he still spoke the truth to the state. The assassinations began in 1965, 1969, and other not so conspicuous ones in between 1975, and the country went completely awry and astray. And the kind of misrule that he spoke of in those years and passed the baton on to others like Bishop Alexander Muge, like Timothy Njoya, like David Gitari, like Manasseh Kuria, they still continue. And these people don't come out to make noise to us on an ongoing basis. They recognize their space, as Ndu says, being spiritual, and that they recognize their landscape as being within the shrines. However, when things have gone haywire, when the representatives of the people and those who are given the responsibility to maintain oversight get lost, then that is the time that those whose mission is prophetic and apostolic will come out of those spaces to come and speak to us. They will go to Fungamano and they will force us or leaders, and through that leadership force us to promulgate a new constitution that then starts taking us where we have hoped to go. They will then retreat. But when you find that the legislature has been captured by the executive, when you find that the judiciary is in the process of succumbing, then that is the time that those in the spiritual space will emerge to serve their role, to play their role as the very final firewall. And that's why we are saying those in the spiritual space have come. Otherwise, they leave you within the regular non-ecclesiastical space to do your things.
I'd like to add something to it. You know, at the time you spoke of, you're spot on. There's a gentleman we must include in that group of wonderful people, Raphael Ndingi Mwana Anzeki.
Mwana Anzeki, yes, indeed.
The fundamental difference then, though, was if you examine that period, there were individuals who stood out within the so-called traditional churches. What we're seeing now is completely different. Because here, you're having the laity, the entire structure of the leadership of these traditional churches, coming out and speaking literally with one voice. Now, let me correct myself. Not just churches. You're talking about religious groupings in the country coming out and saying something that people who are in the space, or what do you call them, civil society, have been saying and so forth. But that they're speaking with one voice is the thing that I have found to be of note. Because this has never happened before. Where you have a situation where, as we say, the traditional churches are all saying the same thing, literally. Now that
indeed,
never happened.
I do agree with you entirely, City, that they are speaking as collective voices. And you know that the mainstream churches have got their orders. For example, and if I declare that I am Anglican, we have got 3 houses within the Anglican faith. There is the House of Bishops, then there is the House of Clergy, and finally there's the House of Lay. And we, the lay people, are the ones who wait for our spiritual superiors to process the messages and come and deliver them to us. The Catholic have got their own orders as well. In the older days, there was the Episcopal Conference, And from time to time, the Episcopal Conference would speak. But when it spoke, or as it was speaking, there did not seem to be any other voice or any other house coming out to speak. Today, you are seeing that collective responsibility, that collective voice within those orders, and they speak from this corner, the others speak from the other corner, and it is an indication that time is out of joint, and that let's just be very plain. Let's stop speaking in parables and proverbs. I know we started there, but let us just come into the prosaic space and say that President William Ruto, the Kenya Kwanza government, they had better start listening to these voices. And they should know that even within that spiritual, both Islamic context and the Christian context, it has been said that there will come times when they will look for prophets to speak to them, but there will be no prophets speaking to them. That there will come a time when they will attempt to repent, but it will be too late for penitence. So this is the time. And President William Ruto should rein in his hounds. I heard him say yesterday that there's no need for us to answer each other. He must lead by example.
Can I come in on that point, Barack? Because here we are, and we saw that a couple of weeks ago, indeed, the bishops from the Catholic Church spoke very clearly about a number of things. The Anglican Church then came out, and quite a number of other churches came out. Yesterday, we heard again, and it was specific about promises that this particular administration made whilst on the campaign trail, and even after they were sworn into office, they still made more promises. And I'm trying to imagine a time where recently the president has come out on a podium and not made another promise. I think that every time he speaks, there are promises that are made as though we are still campaigning. And these sentiments that were put out yesterday were very clear that you've said certain things to Kenyans. You owe them one of two things: either to come and say, I thought we would be able to do that, but we cannot, or to fulfill the promises that you had made. And that was the sentiment that was coming again from the church yesterday. For the president to say that we don't owe a back and forth to those who call us out, I think that there are very many things that are erroneous in that sentiment. But don't you owe the people that you've made promises to one of those two things, to either fulfill them or at least give an explanation as to why you cannot? Why is it important for somebody who sits at the helm of leadership to be in constant communication with the people they rule over? I use rule very deliberately, by the way. I use rule very deliberately.
Rule over is the operative phrase. Rule over. That are those who are privileged to occupy positions of power through what we must presume to be a democratic process, do get into those spaces, and they forget that they are supposed to be servants of the people. They become overlords. They put on garbs of intransigence and arrogance, and they start talking down at the people because power has touched their heads. And yes, they have got those two options: to either come and say, we didn't know what lay ahead. We had not the slightest idea, and it is difficult. And so we are going to propose to downsize the promise, and we are going to choose a few things that can be achieved within the resources, the capacities and abilities that we have, and kindly pardon us that we will not be able to do the rest. In the converse, they have the responsibility to deliver. And when they deliver, they don't need to crow about it because we will see it. But this is a dispensation that is all about making more and more promises, like the proverbial mother who does not have what to cook for the children. And so she puts stones, hard rocks, in a pot, puts the pot on fire, and begins boiling the stones, and keeps on telling the children that very soon we will serve something. Very soon there'll be something ready for you to eat. And the children, because they are children, in the innocence, in the naivety of childhood, they believe that something will come out of that stuff. And although they can see that they are stones, they have been told that ultimately something will happen and those stones will miraculously become food. But what they forget is that there's a third alternative. And that alternative is that in the fullness of time, they will come back to the people, and the people must exercise wisdom. And if they don't exercise wisdom, then they must be left to their own fate, to their own doom. Because if you have, ladies and gentlemen, a dispensation such as the Kenya Kwanza dispensation today, which has not even reached midway in its first term, visiting the kind of atrocities it does to the people, when it still is conscious of the fact that it desires a second term, what will it do to this country? Should it, unfortunately, and I choose my words carefully, should it unfortunately have a second term, when the incumbent, the Supremo, will not need to worry about being re-elected? That is the thing that this country must think about and think seriously.
Let's take a break, Buana. It's 25 minutes to 8. Dr. Barak Muluka, Strategic Communications Advisor, is our guest this morning. We're looking at what's happening in the country so far, talking about, the voice that's coming from the clergy, the religious leaders, and the response that it's getting from government and what it means. Ndu, you're going to tell us about holiday entertainment with Showmax.
Yes.
Before you do that, that's 300 bob. Let me tell you about what you can also do with for as little as 500 shillings. If you have a Standard Chartered account, you can get into the SC Shilingi Fund, and you will put in money. It's a money market fund. It keeps growing. At least you don't lose much. It has so far about 15 billion shillings under management. This is the SC Shilingi Fund. Imagine.
Yep.
So you can put the money in there for as low as 500 shillings, put in whatever you want. You can even have, a standing order that just says every month, every whatever date, 5,000 bob cow goes in there. Whatever you want to top up, you top it up. It works. Then with that, you'll have done your own investment and risk profile on the app. And it helps you also to think how you can go into mutual funds, into the bonds markets, into everything else. The Standard Chartered Bank, Priority Banking, they're telling you, come, let's help you build your wealth. Yep. So tell us about the weekend and the holiday season and Showmax.
So you're looking for things to do this holiday season. One of the things that you can do is actually cuddle up and watch your TV. And you don't have to just do that. You can actually watch a screen that you will be on that long road trip when you're going out to, I don't know where you're going this festive season.
To Kimana.
When you're going to Kimana, how many hours is it? 3.
It's just 3 hours.
3 hours.
But if you're like President Ruto yesterday, he flew in there.
So it'd be like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to Tamu from Nairobi, you can actually watch an entire series from Nairobi to Tamu. Okay? And how do you do this? You register to Showmax, www.showmax.com. For as little as 300 shillings a month, you can watch great shows like Black and Blue. Remember the folks from Black and Blue? They were here last week. And you want to watch it. So a couple of episodes have dropped already. Every week, another one does. And just to see the intrigues between all of these police officers and how one citizen becomes the OCS of a particular police station. It's hilarious, it's satirical, it's got lessons in there as well. That and other great entertainment in series, movies, documentaries, sports, all over. And you can take it with you. So take your entertainment with you this season as you Shika Showmax.
This is the Situation Room.